Welcome to Beyond Boundaries, guys. We're here for you. Thank you for your support and watching our videos and subscribing and liking. God bless you all. Let's get into this one, man. So how have you been, Johnny? You been well?
Yeah, I've been good, brother. I've been just working a lot lately. I did a swing, came back on Thursday, did a week swing, and it felt like a holiday coming back after a week of work, you know, when I'm normally doing the 2-week swing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was actually pretty good.
Do you feel fairly drained when you get back?
Yeah, especially because I come off night shift. You know, I come and do a 12-hour shift, straight onto a plane, straight home, and then you're like, damn, like, do I go to sleep? Do I try to stay out? Do I try to get back into a good routine? But, yeah, definitely feel drained after a 2-week swing. Yeah. Even a 1-week swing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. How much days does it usually take for you to be able to calibrate again, to come back to the normal routine of normally, sleeping at night and obviously being awake throughout the days? Yeah,
normally only just a 1 day, bro. Like, I'm pretty good with it. I try to stay up all day, and then by the time it comes like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I'm pretty much like passed straight out. You know?
Passed out? Yeah.
But sometimes it can take up to like 2 days, you know, just to get back into that routine of sleeping properly and waking up early. Because off night shift, you're pretty much sleeping all day.
Yeah, no, definitely. So for sure. So I got a question for you, actually. It'll be pretty good. So what are your core values, my friend, and are you aligning with them?
My core values are probably, the main one is probably trying to become a better person every day. Yeah. And following discipline over motivation. Yeah. Because motivation is pretty much nothing without discipline.
Indeed.
And also my moral status, you know, the morals I have in life. They're my main core values that I like to follow. I am aligning them in somewhat way, but I do feel like I need to work on it a bit more. Yeah, no, absolutely. How about yourself, brother?
I'd say my core values are probably the standard ones that a lot of people would say, you know, like obviously morals, principles, integrity, being a man of your word, obviously having duty to your last name and everything as well. Yeah. But it's always a never-ending journey when it comes to personal development. And when you think about it, like when you gain more experience, you see that all these individual core values have different layers to it, like an onion. So even though they might be standard, they still have different perceptions and different perspectives as you gain the experience as well, if that makes sense.
No, it does. That really does. I like that saying, like, onion with layers.
Layers, yeah, absolutely. Like everything has perceptions and layers. Like not everything is black and white. There's a lot of ambiguities to a lot of different areas of life and a lot of different ideas within it as well. And something that compels me with these standard, I guess, core values is that a lot of people, you could say, like me and you, like I don't count us as the majority, right? I count us as the minority when it comes to individuals, when it comes to our strength and our ability and the core values and what we stick to and being a man we need to be and being a man of our word as well, which is super important. But I see that the majority of men nowadays don't have these core values, or common sense is not that common anymore, right? So I see that these people don't have these values, and it makes me want to have these values even more because I see that so much people lean into degeneracy, and now it's just like, okay, well, I'm going to lean into exceptionalism.
Yeah, I do believe that 100%. I want to go over overcoming stress, ways to overcome stress, ways to pretty much go through a day without having much stress on your shoulders.
Good question. Is that an answer question for me now? Yeah. Interesting. I would say for that one is positive reinforcement. So for me, I like stress. I think stress is good. It's good to be able to, you know, appear and obviously act upon under stress because it's good to be able to build your mental fortitude and, you know, your mental framework for you to be more stronger. Like adversity builds men. Like we sort of need the adversity to be able to compel forward and to be better. So I'd say positive affirmation to yourself, telling you that stress is okay. Because it's interesting, there's a study I heard, right, where there's two different guys. One guy says, I don't like stress, stress is so bad. And he puts his hand on his head, he's just like, I just don't like stress. The other guy's like, okay, well, stress is not the best, but I like stress. It's going to be good for me to be able to become the best version of myself. And the guy that ends up complaining about it and victimizing himself through that stress, he ends up dying and gets sickness. And it's interesting because it's the same chemicals releasing in both their brains, but it's about what you tell yourself in the current time as well, which is interesting. And like with stress, I could say that depending on how much stress you can take is depending on how successful you can be. So there's like sort of, they correlate together. They don't go without each other, and sort of being able to convert that energy. So for example, I'd say for the viewers, if you are stressed, being able to step up and convert that energy into exercising and being the best version of yourself, going into business, being able to distract yourself with what you need to do and what your duties are as well. But I could say like there's meditation and relaxing and remedies, maybe going for a walk on the beach, talking to people and so on and so forth. But I'd say definitely converting that energy, because it's like waters in an ocean. It can be chaotic, it can be destructive, but water can power a turbine which powers a town. So I could say that stress can be conformed from negativity into a positivity through actions, if that makes sense.
That's really interesting. I like that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is good.
What about yourself, bro?
Pretty much what you just said, eh?
You say?
Like,
Yeah.
I never heard what you first explained about two people having the same stress levels and then one telling themselves differently through affirmations.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put it. Because some people out there, they just think they don't know how to comprehend with stress. And then, like you said,
Yeah.
go down this spiral of, damn, what am I going to do? How am I going to overcome it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you took pretty much the words straight out of my mouth, eh?
No, I'm glad.
That's a good way to put it.
I'm glad to hear. Like, it's an interesting thing. Like, I understand that stress, depending on how it is, it can be bad, but depending on what you tell yourself, like, it's interesting to be able to positive reinforce ideas in your head and how you talk to yourself. Like, self-talk is super important, I reckon, when it comes to stress. Like,
Power
what you
of the
do,
mind.
the power of the mind. It's, you are the placebo, like being able to tell yourself that, okay, I'm going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. I'm just going to go by my day and I'm going to make sure I be who I need to be, sort of thing. And I'm sure you definitely agree, especially if going to the mines, 2 weeks on, 40-degree days. I'm sure you're just like, it's probably a bit stressful sometimes, isn't it?
Definitely.
So you're just like, I'm going to do my thing and, I'm going to keep going. So you probably know it very well.
Yeah,
I'd say
sometimes
as
you just got
well.
to go on autopilot and pretty much just get through it.
Do it. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Because the best thing you could say when it comes to stress, it's like, obviously we're going to feel stressed no matter what. So the best option throughout the time, instead of like maybe conforming to it, is just to go through it anyways. You'll feel better after you go through that stressful day. You'll be like, oh, I'm actually proud of myself. And I think the stress will vanish after that because you're just like, okay, well, I still got on with my day and did what I had to do. And, it's, stress is going to pressure creates diamonds.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I got a quote here from Andrew Bernstein. And it goes, remember that stress doesn't come from what is going on in your life. It comes from the thoughts about what's going on in your life.
Interesting. Can you repeat that one again?
Remember that stress doesn't come from what's going on in your life. It comes from your thoughts about what's going on in your life.
Interesting.
So your thoughts are pretty much is what creating the stress in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it doesn't matter about what's going on around you. It's how you think about it, the thought process you have to overcome that stress.
Yeah, so we'd say definitely it's like perceptions, your idea on it as well, and definitely positive reinforcement with it again too. Yeah, thoughts are very powerful.
Yeah.
Thoughts are very
process is
powerful.
really powerful.
Absolutely. It's good to be able to have different thoughts that you sort of go back to every single day, or being able to, think about good things. Think about the struggle of it and the pain of it, and being able to go through it the best way. Yeah, it's like the quote we spoke about as well in our last episode, is the quality of your life is the quality of your thoughts. Sort of those both quotes sort of correlate a little bit, don't they? Yeah, interesting. So I've got a question, a pretty good one as well. Is there anything you regret in your life? And if so, what were they?
Regret is a big word. I believe that I don't have any regrets from my past life.
Yeah.
But I do think that I could have changed some things earlier in life.
Yeah.
Having regret can pull you down a lot because then you're always just thinking about, I could have done this, I could have done that.
Yeah.
So there's not much things I do regret. There's only things that I think that I should have changed. Or should have done earlier.
Yeah, no, that's good. I definitely agree with that.
How about yourself?
I'd say the same as you. Took the words out of my mouth. I don't think there's anything I regret, like anything I've participated in, any actions. No, not at all. Maybe I could say there's lessons. I could say instead of regret, it would be lessons, information that I need to implement from my past experiences that I could have done better, and things that I'll definitely make sure I do better in the future. And I'd say I can't really be mad at past me for a decision I made maybe 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Because maybe younger me wasn't as diligent and amazing as I am now.
And you can't dwell on that either.
Yeah, definitely. Because like you said, it's like pushing back a little bit from what you said. It can go into like a downward spiral. And obviously what you say, regretting on it, obviously dwelling on it, it's not going to be good for the mind and the mental health, you could say too. So
exactly. Exactly. You're spot on, because once you start regretting your past, you go down this road of loneliness and hatred of yourself.
Yeah.
And then you start hating yourself even more, and then you can't achieve the things that you actually want to achieve.
Yeah, and it ends up making limited beliefs. It's like my mum's done her psychology degree, and it's interesting. My English was not Englishing for a sec there. So, but I'd say, there's something called a vicious cycle, and that's what you're explaining now, where it goes like, resentment and then hate and then, anger, and it all goes around in this vicious circle of, technically there's a downward spiral.
Yeah, and you get stuck in that circle.
Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely. It's just a continuous of loops if you don't know how to break free of that and go beyond the boundaries,
Yeah, and it is hard to break through that. Like, I've tried helping a lot of people that have all these regrets from their past. And the only way to pretty much overcome that is, like, doing it yourself.
Yeah.
You can't get anyone else to help you but yourself.
Definitely. And you just said that you've been helping out quite a lot of people, right? And especially within our journey now within personal development. How does that make you feel? Especially because there's people that look up to us now and they look at us as canvas and people to hit up and message about their hard times and what's going through. We've technically opened up a little bit of a perspective of being able to give them information and what things to implement.
Definitely heartwarming.
Yeah.
When you have people that you used to be on the streets with, you know, partying, drinking and stuff, come up to you and go, oh, I'm changing my life just because I'm watching you. Like, the stuff that you put out is like, why can't I do it if you're doing it? You know, it's very heartwarming, and it hits home hard. You know, because I've always just been that friend that's always trying to help and always trying to pick people up. Like, you ask a lot of people, you don't, like, so let's say you meet one person on a night out and you never met them before. You've only met them this one time. I put off the impact of them never forgetting who I am. Yeah. Because of the words I say and the way I help them overcome. Like, I'm one of them people where people come up to me and they'll just start speaking about their life. Yeah. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, damn, like, you know, I've got to go through this again, but it's what I want to do anyways. Yeah. So they start speaking about their life. I'm giving them life advice from my own experience. Yeah. And me doing that is something that they will never forget. Yeah. So when I do see people that I've only met once, they're always like, oh, Johnny, what's going on, bro? And I'm like, oh, do I know you? But, you know,
because you make impact. Yeah,
exactly. It's good to have that impact on people.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. That's interesting as well that you feel, you know, abundant from it as well. Would you say that it's definitely a sense of duty for you?
Yeah, definitely a sense of duty. Yeah, it's something that I've always wanted to do. Yeah, you know, growing up, I've always been the placid one out of all my brothers. Yeah, and always been the one to think outside the box and do things differently in life. Yeah, and that definitely has helped me, like, help other people.
Definitely, and I agree. This is, like, what we're doing now is pretty important. I would say, like, trying to obviously empower the young youth is something super important. And I look at us as young leaders now, being able to embark on a journey where we can influence people in a positive manner, especially with a lot of distractions going on in the world. We can be canvas, we can be individuals that you can look up to as well. And, you know, for our audience and people that want to watch, that's why we want to provide value as well. Like, obviously when it comes to our content, but when it comes to the physical self, of meeting people in person, we can tell them, we can give them advice and we can share with them, but also we can just be there to be an ear to listen to what they're going through and give them different perspectives on their current situation or limited belief that they're caught up in as well.
Definitely agree with that. And at the end of the day, we're on this journey learning for ourselves as well. Yeah. You know, we're trying to add value and give people value, but we only just know as much as some people out there that don't know as much. You know, so we're still learning, and we want people to pretty much join this learning curve that we're on. Even like talking in front of cameras and putting out videos that would never be comfortable with back in the day. You know, it's a big learning curve for ourselves. Yeah, and it's only just going to get better from it.
Absolutely. Imagine we started this journey like 5 years ago, like back when we were like 16, 17. Imagine how advanced would be now. The mindset we have is very formed. It's been articulated, we've self-analyzed, which is super important as well, by being able to work on this personal development journey. So just imagine that would be pretty sick.
That would have been sick, if we started something like this years ago.
Especially the videos, the content coming up in the podcast room, making something.
It's a new niche nowadays. Yeah. Everyone's getting into that type of content, you know?
Yeah, no, indeed. So I got an interesting question for you as well. What's your perspective on power? What is power to you? What makes you feel powerful when you embark in something, when you feel satisfied, when you participate in something? What's power to you?
Power to me is doing something that I haven't done before. Okay. Having that feeling that, you know, you've done something out of the ordinary. Yeah. You've gotten uncomfortable, and then now you have that power over yourself of going, oh, I've done it once, why can't I do it again?
Yeah, yeah. I agree. That's what I'd technically say as well. And I reckon power is something where you impact people as well. So creating community, I reckon what we're doing now is very powerful. Yeah, like, you know, definitely. Being able to create community because we want our community and people that we care about and people that we love to be able to be more abundant, but also more efficient with themselves, with their core values and what we listed before, being able to bring themselves to the light from the darkness and being able to make a good pathway and a good tunnel to obviously the successful version that they want to become. I reckon it's super very powerful. Yeah.
I definitely agree with you on that one, bro. I want to get into manifesting. A lot of people don't understand what manifesting is. Yeah. And it all comes, well, let's start with, what does manifest mean? To manifest something means to think about it often with focus until you receive it. It's an idea that if you want something, you can mentally attend to it and it will put it into an extent.
That's okay. That's all right, my friend.
But yeah, so I wrote something down here.
Yeah.
And he goes, the first thing to manifesting is truly believing what you desire and creating an imagination around that desire.
Yeah.
Once done, it's easier to put it into a plan, so then you can get to that desired stage in your life.
Yeah.
So it's really all about imagination, like imagining something that you want.
Yeah.
And then going step by step to get that thing.
Yeah, I agree. Manifestation is such an important thing, and it's definitely a real thing. I do believe that God, the divine, has put us down here, right? And I do believe we are the source in somewhat way and form. Like, there's so much about our body. We have so much God-given gifts. We have everything to be able to tap into, right? Like, when you think about it, our brain, we only have access to 10% or 20% of that. I do believe through meditation and manifestation that you can actually tap into different sides of yourself spiritually to be able to manifest as well. But for manifestation, for me, I'd say it's like what you said, it's mental rehearsals, being able to, like, first before I get into that, I'd say that action, belief, and imagination are the foundation for manifestation, because nothing without a strong belief. It's like what we spoke about in the last podcast. Are you a belief? You're a believer, or are you your beliefs? So being a strong believer, imagination, action are the foundation for it. And once you do that, I reckon you can excel in manifestation. But mental rehearsal is something super important too, because being able to mental rehearse like ideas or maybe situations in your head it's important, because manifestation is like, okay, me closing my eyes, I'm telling myself or imagining through mental rehearsal that I'm a millionaire, and you're meant to actually try to feel that you are currently that millionaire right now.
Live that imagination.
Absolutely. And you feel that emotion with it too. Like, there's been times I've actually sat there and mental rehearsed, like buying my mum a house or retiring my mum, and it makes me cry sometimes. I've actually felt the emotion, the intensity of it, right? And I'm pretty sure when you do that with manifestation, it raises your frequency and vibration up to that state, like you're feeling it in the current moment. And when you do that, it gives you the ability to be able to open up and receive what you are doing as well.
I definitely agree on that. But something else written down here, and it says, is manifestation real? Like you just said, you definitely believe it's real, and I do as well. But there's no scientific evidence that manifestation automatically means dreams come true. But some research suggests that positive mindsets have equally positive outcomes.
Yeah,
and that's something to follow as well.
Indeed.
There's this quote by Joe Vitale that goes, "The universe responds to frequency of your thoughts. Manifest positivity, attract positivity."
Absolutely.
And that's something that, a lot of people can take in, is if they just think positive, they'll get positive outcomes.
Yeah, with manifestation, I'd say that some people might think with manifestation, you just sit there and you say some words, some affirmations, and you're meant to achieve every dream state that you want to occur in your life. But it's definitely followed up by actions. Like the mental rehearsal, like thinking about something, feeling the frequency, the emotion of it, being abundant with it, being in that current stage, taking it to that reality, because it can become a possible reality. But followed after that is definitely your actions as well, which is probably more important, because the laws of the universe, you could say, is action and reaction. Every action that you put in is what you're going to receive. You have to sow to be able to reap as well, which is important.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people do think that they can just tell themselves, I'm going to be rich.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow they're going to be rich. It doesn't work like that. You got to put that plan in to become rich.
It's delusional, isn't it? It's a fallacy for people,
I used to be
right?
like that as well when I was like 16, 17. I used to tell myself, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to achieve so much when I'm older,
Yeah.
And they were more just like affirmations. They weren't really more of a manifestation, because I wasn't following up with the words I was saying to myself.
Yeah. Would you say that the words you say to yourself now, are you following up with them through your actions?
Definitely.
You would say?
Definitely.
Yeah. In your own life, individually, what you're doing, work and everything as well. When you got home, exercise, you've been doing all of that, hey?
Yeah, I've been exercising as much as I can.
It's good.
I definitely need to beat myself up about it a bit more.
Oh, okay.
Because I definitely need to get into a better routine of exercise and, gymming all the time and losing weight and eating on a calorie deficit, and stuff like that. So.
Okay. And you said to beat yourself up about it. Would you say that constructive criticism is good?
Yeah,
do you do that to yourself? Do you criticize yourself a bit?
Definitely.
It's good, I reckon.
Sometimes it makes you feel like shit, because you do criticize yourself to the point where you're like, damn, I'm just a piece of shit because I'm not doing it. But when you do things like that, that's what helps you want to do it even more.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about this as well? Like, I do understand that I reckon constructive criticism is something super important. Like, let's just say that you have a kid, right, and he wants to be a professional athlete when it comes to a certain sport, maybe running like 100 meters. And imagine he comes 10th. Do you reckon instead of sugarcoating him and saying you did really good, you can tell him you did really good, but you need to be better next time? Do you reckon that's a bad thing to do, or do you reckon that's pushing your kid too much? Because obviously you're telling him you need to do better next time. Like, you did good, but it wasn't the best. Do you reckon that's okay to tell your kid? Because in today's society, in Western culture, they'd think obviously they'll demonize me for saying that nowadays as well.
Well, it really comes down to what you believe in parenting,
Yeah.
I would encourage my kid, Say, like, yes, it's okay to be this type of person, but if you want to do better, you have to start doing better.
Better, yeah, absolutely.
So I wouldn't criticize them to a point where they start crying and stuff, like you would.
Cheeky.
Yeah, I'll definitely tell them, if you want to be a better self, you got to start doing better.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon it's something needed as well. It's a mandatory thing, especially if you want to be exceptional or you want to push your kids or the people around you. I reckon tough love is super important. It's like what we spoke about in the last episode is like love is not, it's a hard line. It's not like you say yes to everything. There's a lot of no's that come with it as well. There's both sides of the pendulum, being able to be like, okay, well, like I love you very much, but you have to be better on this as well. If you want to be exceptional, you want to be excellent, this is the path and this is the route that you need to take.
Definitely. I wouldn't be the person I am today without tough love.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a lot of tough love growing up.
Yeah. And what side of the family did you get the tough love from, would you say?
From my mum.
From your mum, a lot? Yeah.
My dad wasn't always around, so my mum was like a dad and a mum at the same time.
Yeah.
Then we used to get belted for shit that we did, but we were little shits. Like,
yeah.
I would say to everyone that we were like demons to my mum, and I'm glad that my mum still stuck around and put up with us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, not interesting. Do you reckon that was necessary, the ass whooping sometimes?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
You should see me and my brothers nowadays. We're just all big, gentle giants.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm sure the woman probably call you big teddy bear. Your girlfriend probably calls you a big teddy bear, innit?
For sure. Something like that.
Yeah, no, that's good. Touching back on what we said before, like I was saying about we already have the source, right? Like God has given us the power to be able to be here and having all these God-given gifts. It's pretty interesting. Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about the importance of meditation, and it's like what I spoke about before one time about slowing down your brain waves to be able to receive through your meditation and manifestation, but also through that we can actually unlock new cells in our body where we can actually heal ourselves from any type of disease or any type of sickness like cancer or whatever as well, which is pretty interesting that we already have that type of ability. It's just a lot of people usually like to go down the traditional route of pharmaceuticals and chemotherapy and all this garbage as well. What do you think about that? It's pretty interesting, isn't it?
It is an interesting topic. Like what Nipsey Hussle was into and stuff like that with the doctor I think you were talking about. Pharmaceuticals aren't put in place to help you. They're just put in place to make money.
Yeah, drug dealers technically, essentially.
Pretty much drug dealers, the worst of them all. But I do believe back in the Stone Age days and stuff like that, they definitely had ways to heal themselves without any pharmaceuticals or without any medicine or stuff like that. So
yeah.
Definitely do agree with you on that one.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's good to be able to learn how to tap into, that side of consciousness within yourself, because we are the source, right? And if we can tap into it, that does take time, and obviously it's a lot of self-education, but it's definitely something we can do through due diligence and working hard. And I reckon the reason it's not as common anymore, because common sense is not that common, because usually a lot of people like to take the easy route, that like instant gratification, what feels good, what's easy, but the hard shit, the hard yards is doing what you have to do and being able to be the best version of yourself and doing the self-education. And I believe everyone can tap into that for sure. I haven't really tapped into it myself, but I reckon if we both did it, and anyone could actually do it, I mean, even our viewers, anyone around the world in any geographical location could. It's just about self-education and sitting down and reading and practicing through trial and error, isn't it?
No, it definitely is, bro. I wanted to go over work and life balance. So, your work and life.
Work and life?
Yeah. How do you pretty much balance them out or keep your work life away from your normal life?
Interesting. I reckon it comes down to positive self-talk again, but also autopilot. You know what I mean? Just working, doing what I have to do. When I finish, I'm out of there. Like I've clocked out. But I do believe that life is work just in general. Even when I'm not working, I'm still trying to work on business. I'm trying to work into my endeavors, trying to work into something. So even when I'm not at my official job doing youth work, even when I'm home, I feel that I'm still sort of working, reading, doing things, trying to improve every single time. I'd say that work-life balance is important, but I reckon I should focus on that a little bit more once I get to a certain stage as well, if that makes sense. Because there might be someone, okay, let's say for example, this is an analogy, a guy that goes drinking every weekend, doesn't do much, he maybe works part-time, he's talking about work-life balance. That doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? I reckon you should get to yourself to a very excellent level of yourself first, where you're truly working hard, and then that's when you'll be like, okay, actually, I need to focus on a little bit of a balance on that as well. Life. And personal life too, if that does make sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that one. So at the moment, your work-life balance isn't really balanced out because you feel like you're working
all the time, yeah. But I want to work all the time. I'd say that I do have a bit of a balance. I choose when I do need that balance, but I do prefer to choose work, I'd say as well. So within that there is a bit of a
You're a
balance.
workhorse. Literally.
A workaholic.
Yeah, workaholic.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like me as well. Like, I tend to forget sometimes that I'm home and I'm meant to be content, you know, living out my personal life, but I'm always catching myself out, like studying or researching.
Yeah.
You know, building businesses online or, you know, doing side hustles and stuff like that. So, I definitely do agree with you on that one, because work-life balance is pretty hard to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
But like you said, you get to that stage where you're like, all right, I now need to sit back and, you know, figure out my personal life instead of having work mixed up with my personal life as well.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's a balance will always occur. It's just depending, I guess, your mindset and strategies as well. Like, I've made little things and times to unwind. Maybe at the end of the night, I might chill out. I guess that's my sleep. That's my balance. I reckon going to sleep. At the end of the night, my sleep is my balance. That's time you have time to rest, right? But when it wakes up, and as soon as the sun rises and that, it's time for a new day.
Yeah, that's good.
Another day, another dollar.
Do you believe that your personal life, you shouldn't always be thinking about work?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure, 100%. I reckon, yeah, my personal life, I don't reckon I should be thinking about work, I'd say. But I'd say that even in my personal life...
Because it can get in the way of, like, your relationships, your family and your friends and stuff.
Yeah, I reckon there's always a way to work around it. It's just about obviously being due diligent and the actions you do take as well within your personal life too. But I'd say that I just need to make sure that I balance it out correctly and just be who I need to be.
Setting up the boundaries and time management and stuff.
Time management, yeah, of course, absolutely. It's super important to be able to time management or have your time management and obviously be there for the people you love. And I know that when I'm home, I'm definitely going to put effort into the mandatory things like, you know, speaking to mum and my grandma and my brother and stuff and contacting the people that I love. But then outside of that, it's just work.
No, that's fair enough and that's understandable. A lot of people in the world, they don't know how to control that side of them. They're always just thinking about work. They're always just like, you know, like work.
Yeah, definitely.
Then it starts affecting their personal lives.
Definitely, because it's good to get in flow. And I reckon when you're in flow, everything comes. And when you're working on yourself, it's going to help you when you're in flow to be able to balance everything out correctly as well. And like you said, I reckon if you're too stressed about work all the time, it's going to steal happiness from, you know, who you want to be, but also the relationships you want to forge over time as well, which sort of has to occur. But if when you're in flow, I reckon that you just know what you need to do. And if you're going to be, I guess, your core values, if it's a part of your core values, you'll make sure that you time manage everything correctly as well and be who you need to be within that idea.
Yeah, exactly, because you're two different people at work and then from your personal life, you have to be two different people.
Yeah, can't mix it together too much.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I find. When I'm at work, I'm a completely different person to when I'm home.
Yeah.
And it might be like a kind of a mask that I put on because, you know, some people out there they're not on the same level as myself or you or some of the people that are working on their self-development journey.
Absolutely,
so it's like, it's either you're up here and they're down here and you bring yourself down to their level, or you stay up there and you just mask through it all.
Absolutely.
Be your own self.
Yeah.
And that's what I tend to do. Like, a lot of people don't like me for it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You know, I don't care if you do like me or not, you know. Like, I'm just living life and I'm doing it my way. Yeah,
definitely. And that's how it should be always as well, especially when it comes to your personal development. There's no point of dropping down your frequency and your level of vibration to, you know, connect with people. Obviously, like, there's going to be times where you want to help people change. Like, maybe we're leaders now, so we sort of have to sometimes look down to be able to bring people up. But there's a good saying I heard in a quote, which Andrew Tate referred to, which was interesting. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So it makes sense that you can try to bring someone with you and help them raise their frequency, but also operate different within their personal development, but you can't force them to drink the water. Like, it's up to them. So you can give them time where, you know what I mean, you want to join us, you want to work on your personal development. If not, you just have to move on as well. And that's the harsh reality of the world.
Definitely, you can't help someone that doesn't want to help themselves.
Yeah, and it's like that quote as well, like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So the importance of association and making sure that you surround yourself with the good people that you need to be, or it's either being alone. I'm happy to be alone for the rest of my life.
Independence is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes it can like control you somewhat way, because I was very independent before I met my girlfriend at this time. Yeah, and it's pretty much like pushed off on me a bit, because like I'm used to being by myself. I'm used to doing things by myself as well. But now I've got my girlfriend with me. Like, it's good to do things together. Yeah. And sometimes I just forget about that. You know, sometimes I was like, I'm just do it myself, you know? Yeah. So it does control you in a way and rub off on you. Yeah, definitely. I actually agree with that as well. With me, I definitely do that too. So, like, there's times I'm usually used to doing things myself, and when I do things myself, it just rubs off for me, because if I ever do meet a female, sometimes when it comes to
this wanting to do things myself, I can't take in their knowledge as well. I wouldn't say that's ego, but I'm just used to doing things myself. I like to take actions. I'm an action taker. So when it comes to my relationships, it's like, okay, just let me do it. It's all right, don't worry. You know, you sit down, relax, just let me sort out this problem. But it makes sense as well, because when it comes to relationships, right, when it comes to the dynamic of the sexual and dating marketplace and the both genders, it makes sense that as a man, it's sort of like, you sort of want to take charge and take lead and sort out all the problems as well. But it's good to be able to listen to the perspective, a girl's opinion too at some stage.
You need to find the right girl. And if you do find the right girl, you will grow literally so big in like just following what they say and them being there and supporting you the whole way.
Yeah, definitely. So how's your relationship been at the moment anyways with your girlfriend?
It's really good. There's some up and downs, but I do believe that we're both on our own journeys. Yeah. With growth and success. Yeah. And we always have these talks, you know, like growing and changing who we are for the better of ourselves. Like the one thing I say to her is, I'll help myself for you if you help yourself for me. Yeah. You know, so we're not trying to help each other. We're not like down each other's throats. It's just, I'll fix myself for you, you fix yourself for me. Yeah, and it makes sense because everything's a reflection, right? So like it's good to work on your individual self. The best thing she can do for you is work on herself. Exactly. Because by default, her working on herself she's going to be good to you and vice versa, right? And back to manifestation with reflection, I mean, everything is sort of a reflection, like who we are, our core values, what we deem to be, who we want to be as well. We're going to attract that person because of the reflection. It's like a mirror. We attract those people because of the frequency and vibration that we operate at as well. But also, I mean, with your female, you're going to reflect her and she's going to reflect you. Exactly, right. We'll learn off each other. Yeah. Know? And something that's good when it comes to relationships, I studied sometime, is being able to have weekly checkups, but also monthly or maybe every couple of months. Like imagine you have a girlfriend, which you do. I don't have one just yet. Maybe sometime soon. Not yet. Keyword, yes. But I would say that being able to come and have a talk, being able to converse and be like, okay, well, is there anything I need to improve to be like, the form and make my leadership qualities and skills more better, being able to talk and be like, okay, well, is our relationship going the way that we want it to go? Is it being better? Is there something I could change? Is there something you can change? So being able to have these times to sit down and converse about things like this as well, making sure they're reaching their goals. And it's technically like a business meeting. Strategizing our relationship and where it's heading. Once a month, definitely get together and pretty much converse on what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right, and if it's really going to work, or the things that you got to change for each other, you know. Like some people will sit there and be so stubborn about, I'm not changing for this person. But really you have to. It's not just changing for that person, it's changing for yourself as well to become a better person. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting thing you just pointed out. I've noticed that especially in Western culture, modern day dating, not your female, but I'd say a lot of other females, and that they expect you to change, but they don't want to change themselves. Yeah. They expect it to be one side, or they will change when it benefits them. And I've noticed that in the dating marketplace at the moment, and that's a pretty interesting one. Yeah. But it's good to be able to conform and, you know, mold each other into who you need to be by the conversations that you need to have to become better, but also being able to go over every aspect and what way the relationship needs to go. So communication is definitely a key thing. Yeah, communication is key. If you can't communicate, then end of relationship. Yeah, may as well dump you. It's an interesting one. I remember you wanted to talk about this as well, as finding out who you truly are. So what's a good way to find out who you truly are? For yourself, but also for just anyone, generalized? Finding out who you truly are, it comes down to a lot of hot tips, you know. Yeah. One of them is visualize your lifestyle. Yeah. You know, figure out who you truly are through your lifestyle and what you do on your daily basis. Yeah. So the way you're feeling as well in your daily life and what you want to feel to pretty much get to the goals that you want. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So yeah, it's good to be able to head towards your goals, but also have rules of engagement or strategies to be able to get to that goal in the first place. Hey, self-analyzation, which is an important thing. So yeah, doing that is super important as well. And I reckon for me, I mean, being able to find out who you truly are, I reckon suffering and pain in a good way, but you need to face that adversity to be able to make the right frameworks and the right constructs within your mind to be able to find out who you truly are through self-analyzation, because, you know, pressure creates diamonds, but when you think about it at the same time, you have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I reckon through hard times, you sort of find out who you truly are. Like you sort of find out the strength in you, but also you find out the bitch in you as well. Yeah, what needs to change and what could be implemented and how you can be stronger next time, how you can be more brave within whatever situation that occurred that you didn't, you know, get up and do. Maybe it could be public speaking or something like that as well. And that's super important. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I found doing new things as well is how you can truly find yourself.
Yeah.
Doing new things and finding out what you like to do
Yeah.
is getting uncomfortable, is with the being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's a good thing as well. And I have something else here. It's finding yourself is a path full of obstacles that can make us question our self-worth and cast seeds of doubt everywhere. When you're on your way to finding yourself, make it a habit to practice self-care. You can do this through positive self-talk and affirmations that you say to yourself each morning or when you write them down in a journal.
Nice, I like that. That's a good one.
You know, trying to find yourself is hard. It's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you do go over them obstacles where you're like doubting yourself because you don't know who you truly are. I still haven't found out who I truly am, and I'm sure you haven't either.
No,
but we're coming to that conclusion that we are on that journey of finding out who we are.
Yeah, I do believe we're in the midst of it as well. Finding out who you truly are, I reckon you never really find out until like maybe later, maybe until you're senior, maybe until you're 50, because there's so much different. It's like what we talked about before about the individual different core values. There's always layers like an onion to everything, right? And being able to find out who you truly are. It's like yourself. Like, you know, it's being able to find out those layers through all the different experiences and personal experiences that you participate in. So it's a never-ending journey.
You can never know who you truly are without going through everything that you've done in your life.
Yeah.
Like you said, that you could be a senior before you find out who you truly are.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to self-analyze. And that's something I wanted to talk on for sec as well, self-analyzation, which is very important through your adversities and your hardship, being able to go through and see what your beliefs you hold and where it comes from, and obviously your research and how you self-educate as well, because we can self-analyze and maybe come up with perspectives and opinions and perceptions based on personal experiences, which we self-analyze, but also a lot of the information through programming, you could say, is just like we've been told things since we were a kid. We've listened to things, we've heard music, we've heard different ideologies, different philosophies, which has given us, you know, this belief system that we have. So it's good to be able to sit there and analyze like where your beliefs actually come from, because I could technically argue that I reckon 60% of what we believe come from someone, which comes from their idea and their imagination, which is they've participated on, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Fact-checking yourself is very important.
Yeah.
Pretty much understanding, like you just said, what you know and why you know it, and why do you follow these procedures. Yeah.
Because obviously when you move forward, you have to become that best version, and self-analyzation, it's good to be able to know what you're talking about is based on objective things and based on personal experiences, which are, you know, obviously it's a possible reality for someone. Because some people, I think a lot of young people nowadays, they might watch like a 10-second, 20-second clip or reel maybe on some garbage on TikTok, right? It could be good information, but then they say that, oh, I know what that is. That makes a lot of sense. But it's good to think, okay, if I agree with something on TikTok and a reel that I watch, it's good for me to actually go self-educate myself and research that specific topic instead of just taking someone else's word, because you never know that the person you could be listening to could be talking garbage. I
was bad for it at one stage. I would always believe everything I see before I started analysing it myself and researching it and fact-checking myself on it. That's one thing that I always do nowadays, is pretty much follow up on what you see.
Yeah. No, interesting.
Very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a question for you as well. There's a quote I heard, and it goes like this: plant seeds you'll never see the shade to. What does that mean to you?
Plant seeds you'll
never see the shade to.
It means that you're just always going to be growing. That's what I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, something along the lines of that. It means that setting a legacy, you're always going to be growing, but also your legacy is also going to be growing as well, because planting seeds you'll never see the shade to reminds me of when you have kids, and your kids is like setting out a foundation of core values, and but also business or maybe a legacy to give to them as well. Because when you go, and obviously when you're deceased and you die someday, obviously your kids need to take over someday of like, you know, what light you'll bring into the world, and maybe what ideologies you had or the perspectives you had as well. And they need to pass it on to the kids, and, you know, it goes generations on, so on and so forth. Yeah.
It's really good.
You know, it definitely reminds me of something we're doing at the moment as well, setting a legacy and building our legacy, creating a destiny for ourselves to be able to abide by, you know, the laws of the force of, you know, willing things into existence from our actions.
Handed down to generations.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's so much generational things to pass on. There's so much to think about. Like, our life is not just ours. Like, obviously there's God's kingdom. Like us right now, we're helping out a part of God's kingdom, right? People, even though we're not blood right now, we're helping each other. And there's people that are watching us right now, and we want to help them too. But also there's people 20, 30 years from now, maybe kids and grandkids that we need to help as well. So it's good to think about, okay, the actions that I am taking now are definitely going to impact the kids that are going to come out, my grandkids, and maybe my grandkids, it's going to come from me as well.
We've got to be that one person in our family line to change things.
Absolutely.
And that's my main mission as well, is creating that generational wealth where down the line, before me, were all these people, you know, they could have done so much, and then bang, oh, here I come, and now I'm that one black sheep of the family that wants to change everything, that thinks pretty much is delusional on his dreams, like, oh, like I want to make so much money, I want to show the world what's possible, I want to hand down the generational wealth. And a lot of people think that is delusional, but to me, I don't think it is.
No, not at all.
Possible.
It's possible being the believer, and I reckon you have to sort of be a little bit delusional anyways in somewhat way. It's like whatever you believe in, you give them power. So it's like, imagine if there was 5 guys in front of me and they wanted to rob me, at least I could act like I'm going to take them all on. But maybe the reality is I couldn't take on 5 guys, but at least I could put fear into 2 of their eyes. So that belief is super powerful, and being able to will it into existence through that strong belief that you
Never
have.
stand back from something that you
not at all.
believe in.
Yeah, definitely, because what you believe in gives you power, and it's also a form of imagination, but manifestation as well, by having strong beliefs, but also trying to be the center of your universe. Yeah, which is super important too. Are you being the center of your universe right now, would you say? Making sure to?
Yeah, I like to tell myself I am.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of growing and working, you know, to get to where I want to be.
Yeah. Do you reckon, what makes you satisfied as well? Because obviously we're talking about personal development and being the best version of ourselves right now. Do you reckon that there will be a time in your life where you feel satisfied with what you're doing? Or that you just feel whole?
I feel right now like I feel satisfied. I feel whole, like doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, being able to step out of our comfort zones.
Yeah.
And pretty much show the audience what we're going through to help them out as well. The thing is, like, you have to feel satisfied no matter what. You can't just feel like, you know, there's always growing to do and there's always, you know, more to achieve. But you got to sit back and understand, like, you're doing something, and there's a lot of people out there that aren't doing nothing.
Yeah.
So there's no point beating yourself up about it and not feeling satisfied in where you are right now.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Would you say that's when it comes to not beating yourself up, but also wanting to be satisfied with where you are? Do you reckon there'll be a time in your life where you're just happy with everything you've got, if that makes sense? Because as a man, obviously it's intrinsic in us to want to conquer, to set on conquest, and to be able to take over and build a life for ourselves. There's always going to be a time where there's always more. You know, men can be a bit greedy when it comes to power, when it comes to money, with success, and that people just always want more. They just want to conquer the whole world. Do you reckon for yourself, but also there's a generalized answer for people, is there a time where someone would be like, oh, that's enough for me? Because as we grow, there's always going to be more to grow.
There's always going to be more to grow. Yeah,
feeding, chasing, wanting more.
There will be a time where I do feel satisfied in where I am, but being a man of caliber and a man of abundance, I always want to achieve more than I can. So in saying that, like in the next 10, I'm giving myself to 30. When I'm 30 years old, that's when I want to feel satisfied with the life and make sure everything is everything's not going to be perfect, but everything is settled financially, you know, respectfully. You know, I have people behind me, good network, and I believe I'll be satisfied then, but I always believe that I can grow even more.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because I reckon 30 years old as a man is prime times. That's when you're in your element, because you've had most experiences. You're in, like, not even close to the middle of your life just yet, sort of close to it, but you've gained more knowledge, more wisdom, more perspective, more money, finances, being able to have good leadership qualities as well. Yeah. So yeah, that stage of being 30, 35, I reckon it's a very substance, a very potency there.
Well, I believe from 10 to 20 is the years that, you know, you learn and you make mistakes and you know, redo the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah.
From when you're 20 to 30, you learn and you pretty much try as much things as you can to find the right thing, the right niche that you're doing. And then from when you're 30 to 40, that's when you start putting in the hard work and you start actually building empires, or, you know, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And that leads into being open-minded as well, isn't it?
Yes,
it's good to be open-minded and not be too limited by your limiting beliefs for people, right? Because to be open-minded means that you'll be open to try different things, to be able to receive certain concepts and perceptions on life and different things to try and that. And especially being a young man, having so much testosterone, may as well go out there in the world and leave a mark. You know, definitely. Being able to become who you need to become, but put yourself in the position where you can actually try new experiences, which comes with different paths of life that you sort of need to experience as well. That's one interesting thing about, you know, life and the journey within 20 to 30, I'd say, is that there's so much different paths to take. And it's like we've lived a lot of different lives in one.
Yeah,
like even from our 10 to 20, you could say the experiences in our teenage years to now, we've lived a couple of different lives in one. Doing this, doing that. True. Yeah.
And I also do believe that, you know, past lives, you know, old souls.
Okay.
Once upon a time, I got my cards read I like
Tarot cards? Yeah.
And the first thing...
Haram.
You reckon? Meditate, no. But the first thing she said to me was, you've been here before. And I was like, what does that mean? She's like, you're an old soul. You have a lot of past lives experience for you to be the person you are in this life experience.
Yeah.
I truly do believe that, being able to understand that we've been here once before is a good thing, because is what's going to help you experience even more.
Yeah. And reminds me of flow, like getting in your flowed state as well, like going with the current. Because when you think about it, like there's a lot of people nowadays, and I've even done it as well at times when I was a bit younger. Now we're doing our own thing. I'd say that we see all these influencers, people see all these TikTok, all these reels, all these influencers, all these individuals using their unique gift, going with their flow. But sometimes we follow these people in their own gift, but we haven't realized just yet that we have our own unique gifts, our own potentials within different niches and different realms and different ideas of life as well. So it's good to, it sort of makes sense what you're saying about a past life, is that sometimes people have experienced something in the past life and they come into a situation of adversity, but they find themselves in flow and they go through that adversity pretty easy because they've had some sort of past experience with that as well, meaning, possibly a past life.
It's always good to learn off other people, but it's always good to find your own personal skill.
Yeah.
Everyone has a skill out there. It's all about tapping into that thing in your brain that unleashes the potential.
And that comes with experience, doesn't it, as well? Being able to be open-minded and being able to receive and being able to put yourself in a situation where your experiences are all different experiences. Everything is one, everything is whole.
Yeah, definitely. And it comes down to the potential that you have as well. Like I've got something written down here for potential. For me, unleashing potential is about taking people from where they are now and helping them realize their dreams and goals. Whatever they might be, it's a process of releasing people from what is holding them back from the life they want and helping to set them up for success. I truly do believe that.
Interesting. So potential, it's an interesting thing. It's we can all reach our fullest potential, I reckon.
Tap into it.
Absolutely. And it comes with experience and being able to go beyond boundaries. I mean, the meaning of our podcast is going beyond boundaries, and going beyond that boundaries is going to help out with tapping into your fullest potential, because you're not going to conform to this line. You're not going to be scared of that line. You're not going to be scared of proceeding and prestiging past that line as well. But once you do, you find out the different potentials and different unique gifts within yourself, because we are the source and we have power and there's so much potency to us. Like everyone has potency to them. It's just about that self-education, but putting themselves in the right position to be able to grow more abundant and go towards the place they need to go, set on that trajectory, transcend to a different place of consciousness.
Identifying your skills and your strengths.
Yeah, and that comes down to what we were talking about before as well, self-analyzation. And being able to realize what adversity you go through or whatever hardship that you go through, there's always something to learn from it, but you can always take a bit of everything. Like legit, you could look at this as a bit of adversity, right? A little bit of self-analyzation. We can do that after. It could be a conversation you have with someone. It could be at work. You can legit take a lesson out of everything. 100%. So I reckon it's good to self-analyze, but also being able to think, okay, I could have done better in this area. I could have, created or maybe conformed different ways of communication, or maybe I could have taken and came from this angle of participation within that idea of something.
It's like when you have an argument with someone and then 10 minutes after the argument, oh shit, I could have said this, I could have said that. It's one of them things, where you self-analyze yourself and everything that you're doing in your life. And then it comes down to, taking little things from it and learning from them. Yeah,
and even after this, I'm sure we'll probably self-analyze because we'll watch a podcast and realize, okay, I realize I've probably said yes so many times. Like I'm in a business meeting, you know what I mean? And we've probably said some things where we can self-analyze and realize that, okay, cool, I could do better next time in that. And that could be a lesson to grow in.
That's our learning curve for us to take in as well. This is why we're doing it, so we can self-analyze the podcast itself, so we can pretty much pinpoint things that we need to work on.
Yeah.
I know on the last episode, I said a lot of filler words, and I'm sure you did as well. I'm sure this episode it's just going to get better and better and better over time, So I do believe the audience that are watching this, I hope you do understand as well that we're on our own journey in talking in front of cameras and talking in front of, the audience and trying to give them the value that we want to give them. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to put across there.
So that's a good word of encouragement as well for the audience, right? It's good to know that even ourselves, maybe people look up to us as leaders now, like what we touched on before, but we're always learning ourselves and always growing.
We're struggling just as much.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, absolutely. And it's good to be able to look at it as that since we're leaders now, we're young leaders in the community of Perth, and that it's good to be able to realize that our life is not just ours now. We have to improve for ourselves, but also we have followers and people now that want to watch our stuff. So we have to make sure that we be excellent and be good for them and lead by example. And that means that we have to make sure we iron sharpens iron. So you and me could do that for each other, and we can make sure that we sharpen each other within our skills so we can be better leaders for our communities.
Gain the knowledge. Gain enough knowledge to share.
Yeah, definitely.
But knowledge is nothing without action.
Action. It's a good quote I heard. There's people like to say knowledge is power. I like to say knowledge is potential power, because like you said, knowledge is nothing unless you wield it and you actually use it within situations that occur in your life. Yep. Because you can't just have knowledge. Maybe you can have knowledge and you can say things in conversations, but it's good to be able to walk it, not just talk it as well. Yes, and that comes with using that potential in the actions that you take within whatever your ideas are within life and goals are that you're setting out on.
I truly do believe that, And also, let's talk about spiritual thoughts.
Spiritual thoughts?
Being able to spiritually think about things, the universe, obviously having these thoughts that pretty much put things into an putting things into reality.
Reality, yeah, nice. I'd say spiritual thoughts, it comes down to a lot of different meanings for me. I mean, spiritual thoughts could be anything. It could be about like how everything was created. It could be about the source that we sort of talked about. We are the source, about the hidden potentials within us that we can gravitate to. Obviously, our unique gifts to be able to wield into existence, but also being able to act upon. It could be, being able to tap into our subconscious and conscious, and spiritual thoughts remind me of going past the physical self, because we live in the physical. A lot of us live just in the flesh, but it's good to go deep down inside within our mind and our consciousness to be able to tap into different parts of us and different potentials, because it's like what I said before, we only have access to 10% of our brain. So being able to realize that, okay, there's so much more to us. We have everything that we already need. We don't need pharmaceuticals or different things, and that we already have so much power within us where we can, grow so much, but we can also transcend to a different place of different forces, and especially spiritually as well, being able to build that spirit. And that comes with, I'd say, not participating in certain things that are going to lower your frequency and staying at that high vibration.
Do you believe that you've had a spiritual awakening before?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I don't know how to explain a spiritual awakening that specifically, but I'd say I definitely have for sure. There's a lot of experiences that have made me, I guess, higher the horizon within my ideas of, reality and perspectives and perceptions of what I've learned through personal experiences and so on and so forth.
So let me give you some food for your thought. What are signs of spiritual awakening? Feeling disconnected or detached from things you normally enjoy doing or people you usually like to spend time with, having a heightened sense of intuition, feeling able to sense manipulation and authenticity, developing an increased or newfound courtesy in the world around you.
Yeah.
So that's like having a spiritual awakening, being able to feel things differently, being the person that's not ordinary.
Ordinary,
thinking differently, having different thought patterns. That's kind of like in the spiritual awakening. I believe you probably have one.
100%. And it ties and correlates back to experience. I reckon the more adversity you go through, the more hardship and tribulation you go through, I reckon that can help out with your spiritual awakening, because you put yourself in all different positions that might be hard, that might make you feel uncomfortable, but it gives you the different angle, the different lens of life to look out of now because of that personal experience that you do have as well. So they correlate together in somewhat form or matter. And I'm sure you probably have as well. Has there been times in your life?
I definitely have a few times, yeah. But the thing about spiritual awakening, you have to keep on level with it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to keep going away.
Definitely.
So having these thoughts of, what's out in the universe, what's controlling us, what can we do to create abundance? They're like spiritual thinking.
Yeah.
You're thinking from a different perspective as well.
I agree, and it's like what you said, it runs away from you if you don't keep up with that. Like, it reminds me, if you don't keep up with it, you need to keep up with the frequency and the vibration of that spiritual awakening. And that means you have to continue and continuous of working on your personal development. And when you work on your personal development, you're going to continue to gravitate or stay around that spiritual awakening, the things that you've self-analyzed over personal experiences as well. Because I believe that there's not just one spiritual awakening. I reckon there's multiple in a lifetime. And that comes through the multiple situations and adversities or situations that are hard for you as well, which, let's just say, spark up or ignite these spiritual awakenings as well.
Depending on what experiences you're going through.
Definitely. So you have to keep up with it by always putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. And I reckon that will always be a target to be able to help ignite that spiritual awakening within yourself because of that personal experience.
That's a good way to put it.
It's an interesting conversation, my friend.
It is. And there's so much more you can talk about it. most of the topics that we go through, it's like big, deep rabbit holes that you can just keep going into, keep tapping into.
It's like the onion, the layers of everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good for the knowledge that we have already to give to our audience. We got a lot more growing to do and a lot more researching and studying, and it's pretty much like we don't get paid for this. We don't have to do this for our audience or anything. But the fact that we want to do it is something in itself.
I agree. It's a very important thing to be able to do this. And like you said, it has so much potency to it. Being able to do this without getting paid for it. And that may be someday cool. Like if it happens, it's not. But it's like what we spoke about before outside of the podcast room, right? It's being able to, even if we can impact 1 or 2 people, that's all that matters to me.
Exactly.
Even if we had 100 subscribers or likes, I don't care. As long as 5 people got something out of it that they can implement into their life, that's, you know what I mean? I'm happy. That will make me feel whole. That will make me feel satisfied. It's like, I'm sure you probably saw that post from a guy in MTC called Pesh. And he was saying, hey, like these guys on their podcast doing their thing, they technically gave us a shout out on Facebook and that. And
I actually haven't seen that one.
Yeah, they did it just as today. So
really?
I'm happy to be able to see that. And that makes me feel fired up that there's people watching, and especially at different ages. This guy's 38 and he's just like, cool, these guys are sharing their journey and going over information that are very important. And it makes me think, cool, like, I'm happy to be able to impact people, no matter where you're from, no matter what culture, color, religion, race, as long as you're a virtuous individual and want to grow, I'm happy, and that's abundant to me enough.
We don't care about views or followers. We just want to be able to help one person one step at a time.
Yeah. But if the views do grow, that's going to be very exceptional. It's going to be definitely grateful for that.
That's the thing we get for doing it.
Yeah.
We've spent countless hours preparing ourselves for these podcasts.
Yeah.
We spent countless amounts of money, investing into these podcasts. And it's only something that we wish to get back, but we're not chasing that. We're chasing the gratification from people that are getting help from us.
Yeah, and it's like that quote as well, the greater the power, the greater the responsibility. And it makes me think, if we do grow to a larger audience, and that we have to be very specific and concise on things, but also we have to make sure that we bring even more value than ever, because if we have such a big audience, it's like, cool, we have to make sure that we abide by self-education and making sure that we grow every single day to be able to release and project value to these people. Because we could have maybe like 100, but imagine having like 50,000 people liking our stuff.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, for sure. And we have to make sure that we continue to provide value on a higher level and always scaling ourselves and keeping with that spiritual awakening we were talking about before. And that comes with the never-ending journey of personal development, and also always changing that or chasing that, I'd say.
I do believe that Beyond Boundaries could be a big brand for us.
Yeah.
Something that we can create into something big.
Oh, 100%.
Create an empire.
Yeah, an empire, 100%. That has to happen. I mean, I reckon we could even make what we talked about before, a page for it as well, where we're actually impacting people more on a physical level, which will be super potent. And I reckon we'll definitely get into that sometime soon.
And definitely takes a lot of self-education before we even start any of that.
Yeah. Do you reckon we should end that right there?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you very much for the day today, guys, and watching us and embarking on this journey. I hope you guys took something out of this wonderful speech we just had, and obviously podcast. And God bless you guys all, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
Take care.